So the Los Angeles Lakers season ended in a very, very unfortunate way, but the Lakers are in a really, really good spot. And I think as we kind of go forward, there's so much that could happen for the Lakers in this offseason. And one of those things could be a Luka Doncic extension. In fact, Tim McMahon, a ESPN insider, actually put it out there saying that he's spoken to some of the people that are connected to Luka, and he's apparently fully committed to the Los Angeles Lakers. I want you guys to listen into this, and then we'll talk about this on the other side.
I would be shocked if there's not some sort of extension this summer.
Okay.
And what that looks like, there's a lot of factors. I don't want to bog you down with CPA minutia and all that kind of stuff, but with what I know of Luka, and I haven't talked to him directly about this, but talking to people who know Luka well, I think he absolutely wants to give the Lakers, like, he's fully committed to LA now. His heart was broken, but he's fully committed to the Lakers. And, his goal now is to win championships with that franchise.
So there you guys have it, right? Apparently Luka Doncic is, quote, fully committed to being with the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm not surprised to hear this, right? We had kind of heard some of this during the actual season. Luka obviously really enjoyed the Los Angeles Lakers. Plus, you also have to factor in that the Lakers actually made the trade for Luka. Right, when the Mavericks were ready to kind of give up on this guy, the Lakers stepped in and said, we want this guy. We want to be able to bring him in. And to me, I don't see why Luka wouldn't sign that contract, especially given that the Lakers have a ton of assets. And truth be told, they're going to go all in to try to win a championship over the next 10 years. And chances are the Lakers will win at least one, if not two or three championships. And I think for Luka, this just makes a ton of sense. Right now, he is technically under contract for 2025 and 2026, which is next season. He'll be under contract for almost $46 million against the cap. And then in 2026 and 2027, which is the following year, he does have a player option, which I think he'll probably opt out of to sign a brand new contract. Luka's the type of guy that can go anywhere, and he'll be maxed out, right? So with that being stated, the Lakers do seem to be fully committed to this guy. And I want to just kind of take a step back and just talk about the Lakers' future, because I think as the Lakers go forward, we're definitely going to see a completely different team going into next season. There's been reports about Giannis potentially going to the Los Angeles Lakers. Some people have talked about Kevin Durant and some other guys as well. And I think for the Lakers, as you kind of go forward, you have to make sure that the team you do put into place, from a cap dollar perspective, it makes sense. At the same time, you got to make sure you build the roster out properly, right? One of the big issues this past season, which we obviously found out against the Timberwolves, was the Lakers just did not have a big. And not having that big really, really did impact the Los Angeles Lakers. Mark Williams' trade that ultimately fell through, Rob Pelinka made that trade for a reason. He kind of saw something with the team. He felt a certain type of way. He made a trade, and obviously they did back out at the end of it, but they at least thought that they needed something specific to be able to win, and that ended up coming true, because they were not able to match the size of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And with that, the Lakers ended up losing in 5 games. And I would argue the biggest issue the Lakers had was size. Going in with a small ball lineup, you can definitely win and you can definitely have success. But, the Lakers fans especially, right, we were really relying on Jackson Hayes to kind of be that guy. And the guy barely played in that series, right? And I think it's very, very clear how J.J. Redick and the Lakers just generally felt about Hayes. And the matchup, right, they thought they had a better matchup going small as opposed to having Hayes, especially given that Minnesota could score a lot of points on any given night. And with Hayes, he is limited on the offensive side, right? But it does seem like Luka's fully committed, and as the Lakers do go into this offseason, they're going to have to figure this out, right? I do think they should give Luka Doncic the extension now. It wouldn't make sense to wait until after this season, because he does have he does have the ability to opt out. I think for the Lakers, you should go ahead and lock him in this season. Give him that pay raise if that's what it is. You will obviously, cap here right now is $46 million. You could just add an extension to that starting in the 2026-2027 season. I think that would probably make sense as well. You could also, if you're able to extend Luka, use that and potentially leverage that and go after a guy like Giannis. In fact, there's a very interesting report that's coming out that is linking the Los Angeles Lakers to Giannis, and I kind of want to talk about this. If you guys don't know this, the Milwaukee Bucks also ended up getting knocked out of the playoffs in the first round, similar to the Lakers, in 5 games. And the Bucks really, really looked overwhelmed. Just watching those games, it just didn't look good for them, right? And I think it's time for the Bucks and Giannis to officially split, right? And there's nothing wrong with this. This happens all the time with superstar players. 4, 5, 6, 7 years, you generally do kind of split at some point, right? We saw De'Aaron Fox and the Kings obviously split. Luka and the Mavericks split. I think it's time for Giannis to also kind of get traded. Plus, I think for the Bucks, this will just make a lot of sense given that you don't really know what Damian Lillard's future is going to look like, right? The guy had the Achilles injury. We don't really know what he'll look like coming back next season. They also don't have a lot of draft picks, and I think that's something the Lakers could potentially help a team like the Bucks with. The Lakers also have some young players that you might be able to, maybe Jackson Hayes signs and trades, right? Maybe the Lakers are able to get him to do that. Maybe Austin Reeves or Gabe Vincent are guys that a team like the Bucks value, right? I think Austin Reeves, although he did struggle, I think teams still value him, right? I think teams will still think he's one of the better guards in the NBA, right? So I think the Lakers do have some assets that you can definitely move for Giannis. Again, it would cost a ton, but it would definitely be worth it. In fact, it was the Ringers, Howard Beck, who actually put this report out there. So Howard Beck of the Ringer was recently on the Zach Lowe show, and he mentioned, he was talking a little bit about him, said that he talked to some people that know Giannis and kind of his camp. He said, I poked around a little bit a few days ago, and the initial thing I got from one person was just like some rumblings that it's already just the big cities. One of the LA teams or one of the New York teams or maybe Miami. So what Howard Beck is basically putting out there is that from what he's heard, Giannis obviously wants to go to a big city, right? Being in Milwaukee, right? It's a smaller market. He was able to obviously bring a championship to Milwaukee, right? The team that kind of drafted him. But now he's ready to go to a big market, right? Now he's ready to go to a team that's gonna, go over the salary cap, right? A team that's willing to spend money, a team that, it's a big market as well. And we know there's not a lot of these teams in the NBA, but one of the teams that can make a lot of sense that already has a superstar player is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers, right? I think this just makes a lot of sense for the Lakers. That too, Luka's 25, 26. This guy has like 10 good years, right? And, Giannis is still in his prime as well. And for the Lakers, that solves their biggest issue, right? You bring in a guy that's big, a guy that's strong, he's physical, he's a defender, he can score. There's nothing Giannis can't do. And again, I think for the Lakers, this is exactly what you would need, right? You would need that type of player. A big that can score, can play defense. And even then, I don't really know what the Bucks would want in terms of trade. They'd obviously want, maybe Austin Reeves, maybe Gabe Vincent. They probably want some of the other players, right? Rui or Vando. The Bucks will have to realize that you're going to have to just figure it out and pick among those guys, right? Dalton Knecht has a ton of upside. Austin Reeves has a ton of upside. I'd personally like to keep Reeves for the Lakers. I know some Lakers fans are out on Reeves after what we saw in the playoff series. But we do have to remember Reeves is still young, right? He's still a young basketball player. I think for the Lakers, they're going to have to figure out with Austin Reeves if, does him and Luka on the same team make sense? Could you get enough out of Gabe Vincent or should you move Gabe Vincent, right? Because when Vincent plays, the guy looks really, really, really good. And I think for the Lakers, you also have like the minutes element of it, right? You can't get everybody a ton of minutes. You have too many different guys. You just got to come down and really hone in on which guys need to play and which guys don't need to play. Now, Giannis is a guy that the Lakers could realistically bring in. They are going to have to figure out how they're going to make that work from a cap perspective. The thing that I think would make the most sense for the Lakers is to essentially have LeBron James take a pay cut. And I know some people are going to say, hey, LeBron James is unwilling to take a pay cut. And we actually even had a report come out just a couple days ago that he's not willing to take a pay cut. But the Lakers got to get this guy to take a pay cut. And I'm not talking about a small pay cut. I'm talking about a massive pay cut. LeBron obviously doesn't have a player option going into this next season. He'll most likely opt in. I'd find it hard to believe he's going to get anywhere near $52 million if he opted out and decided to leave the Lakers, which in itself, that's not going to happen, right? LeBron James, to me, the best thing he can do if he wants to win a ring this next season is take a massive pay cut. Go from $52.6 million, get it down to $25 million. I know that's a ton of money for any player, right? Giving up $25 million. But I think if LeBron James values that ring, that's the best case scenario. In fact, some people aren't going to want to hear this, but LeBron James is not that good anymore, right? And yeah, he still has impact and He's a high IQ basketball player, and I will never say he's not. He's arguably the smartest player in the NBA right now. But the thing is his body is just not responding the same way, right? The recovery, right? He'll have a phenomenal game 1 to struggle game 2, right? He'll have a phenomenal, 3 games to struggle in game 4 and 5, right? And I think when you're 40 years old, that's just naturally going to happen, right? I forget who it was that said this. I believe it was Magic Johnson. It may have been Michael Jordan. One of these guys said something that just made a ton of sense. They said that, hey, when it comes to playing basketball, we're still great. Like, we can at 45 years old still come in there and play and score and play defense and have a phenomenal game, right? An all-star type of game, even at 45 years old. But the thing is after we play for 2 hours, that recovery is going to take us a lot longer. We can no longer play back-to-back. We can no longer play 3 games in 7 days. It's just not going to happen. We'll have one great game at 45, and then we'll be out for 2 months, right? That's over-exaggerating a little bit. But that's kind of where LeBron James is at, right? He's 40 years old. He'll be 41 going into next season. There are multiple moments where this guy struggled, right? Not being able to score, right, in that final game, having 0 points in the fourth quarter. That's unacceptable, right? And I do think we're at the point with LeBron where, he'd be better as a role player, as like a 4th option for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I don't know if LeBron James would be willing to do that, but if the Lakers want to win and they don't want to waste another year of Luka's prime, LeBron James has to take a pay cut. And I think that would be the only way you can really get Giannis in the building, right? At $52.6 million for LeBron, at 48 for Luka this season, and then whatever Giannis is getting, you could technically make it work, but you are going to push it, and you will end up losing some other guys. And I think for the Lakers, that's the worst thing you can do. If you can have Austin Reeves at the current value, where he's getting like 12, 13 million, if Jackson Hayes can come back at maybe 10 to 12, right? I think we kind of saw in the playoffs, not a great offensive weapon, has his moments. But if Jackson Hayes comes back as a number 2 option to a guy like Giannis, that'd be phenomenal, right? A number 2 big option. I think the Lakers, just kind of honing it together, I think the Lakers are in a really, really good spot, right? And I think some people might be upset that the Lakers lost this past season, but we do have to just be realistic. As someone who, I cover the NFL, some of you guys know this, some of you guys don't. I work as a scout, right, as an NFL scout. And one of the things I realize is sometimes the narratives that exist are not realistic, right? Sometimes people will say, Shedeur Sanders, top 5 quarterback, but the NFL is saying something else. In the NBA, the same things happen, right? And one of the things that happens in the NBA that I think some people overlook is when you make a trade in the middle of the season, when you trade your franchise guy in the middle of the season, you're not expected to compete in that season, right? You have to go into the offseason, reset, have that training camp. That star has to learn the playbook. And I think for the Lakers, it's kind of where they're at right now. And as they go into next season, I think they'll be in a really, really, really good spot. And before next season comes around, obviously they will have to kind of figure out the team, which takes us into the final update here. The NBA Executive of the Year award has officially been announced, and we have the actual results. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, man, I was very, very, very shocked with these results. Not that I don't think Sam Presti should have not been the Executive of the Year, right? I do think he did a phenomenal job. And I'm not mad in any way that he's the Executive of the Year. But for Rob Pelinka to finish 6th is absolutely wild in my opinion, right? I am very, very surprised to see this guy finish as low as he did. Now, some people might say, hey, they were knocked out in the first round. The Mark Williams trade kind of fell through, and the Lakers were never really able to figure it out. But some of the decisions that they made this season, to me at least, were very, very, very impressive. And then even just kind of going back, some of the decisions they made the year before and how it kind of impacted this season, to me, 6, I think, is a little low. I don't think any of the other general managers, maybe Cleveland, I do think Kobe Altman had a pretty good offseason, did a pretty good job during the course of the season. But I think Rob Pelinka should have been a lot higher. Now, regardless of that, this is not real basketball, right? This is paper basketball. You win based off the team you build out there on the court, right? So Rob Pelinka is going to be a very, very, very busy general manager this offseason, right? He's going to be very, very busy. He's going to have to be the guy for the Lakers this offseason to put together a team that could potentially compete on the other side. And of course, we know the Lakers already extended Pelinka, so he'll be around for the next couple of seasons. We'll see what he can do, right? He has to be able to build the roster out. We'll see what he can actually do as we kind of get into it. And I'll leave it with this. Next year, right, 12 months from today, there's a real chance Rob Pelinka is the executive of the year, right? And there's a real chance the Lakers are, they're the first best or the second best team in the West, and they, win the first round, and they're going into the second round. They're up 2-0 already at this point, right? There's a real chance that's where the Lakers could be next season. But it'll start basically today, right? It starts in the offseason, the draft. It'll start in the actual, making those trades and making those calls. So we'll see what ends up happening. I want to know what you guys think, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Some of you guys have asked me on my other channel why I haven't been making Lakers content. Sean's been killing it, man. He's been doing a really, really good job putting content out. He's asked me now twice over the last 2 weeks to make content. It's been busy with the draft, right? So obviously you guys know that if you guys follow me on the other channel. But I will be on this channel more, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing. I will be making more content on this channel. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.